Guys, think about a plan which is so bold, so controversial that it can reshape the very course of Russia-Ukraine war in few months. This is exactly what the newly elected US President Donald Trump claims that he's ready to deliver. A swift end to the war that has actually drained billions of wealth and have shaken economies across the world. So with a strategy that include no American troops, unprecedented concessions, and a proposal that would make Putin celebrate, Trump's approach is setting the world on fire and edge at this point of time. So the question is the solution the world has been waiting for, or it's going to be a high stake gamble that could redefine the global power? So let's get into Trump's shocking blueprint for peace and its potential impact on the international stage. I have a PPT to share with the help of which I'll be able to explain it better. So let's get started. Right. So in this session, we are going to focus on the president, US President Donald Trump's and his bold, potentially game-changing strategy to end the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. So see, ever since Trump became president, right, the newly elected president, there has been a your discussions and talks around his phone calls with world leaders, and it's interesting to note that one of his first call was with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And the question is, at this point of time, will Trump also speak to Russia's President Vladimir Putin? Yes, it seems that Putin is thrilled already that Trump is coming back to the global stage, and reports even suggest that Putin may have celebrated the news, understanding that Trump's presidency could bring significant changes for Russia, particularly in relation to the Ukraine conflict. So let's get into the details of it. If you see, with Trump's win, Putin don't waste time in expressing his congratulations. The Russian president actually conveyed optimism, hoping that under Trump's leadership, relation between US and Russia will improve. So Trump, on his part, advised Putin not to escalate the Ukraine situation further, and that is actually showing an intention to manage the conflict diplomatically. So, considering the Trump's promise to his voters that he would prioritize ending the Russia-Ukraine war as soon as he took office, the question now is, how does Trump intend to resolve this long-standing conflict in a way that satisfies all the parties and stakeholders which are involved? So let's look at Trump's no American soldier policy. See, a core aspect of Trump's approach to resolving the Russia Ukraine conflict is his firm stance against deploying American soldiers. Now, according to Trump, this conflict is primarily a European problem, not America's. And therefore, any military support would have to come from European nations such as Germany, France, and Spain. So he's made it very clear that American taxpayers' dollars should no longer be drained in foreign conflict that don't directly impact the United States. So this statement aligns with his commitment to, reducing U.S. national debt and government spending, which he emphasized throughout his campaign, and he got a lot of support for the same actually. Now, if you look at the recognizing Russia's claim over, key territories, Trump actually proposed a peace plan. One of the most controversial element in his suggestion is that Ukraine should officially recognize Crimea as part of Russia. It's very controversial. Now, Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014, remains internationally disputed, but under Trump's plan, the international community would acknowledge it as Russian territory. Additionally, Trump is pushing for Ukraine to recognize Russian control over specific territories within the Donbas region. Further, it will solidify Russia's hold over areas it currently occupies. So, this idea has been met with strong reactions globally as it essentially rewards Russia's aggressive territorial claims. Now, he also is talking about a buffer zone. That's another key aspect of Trump's strategy, which involved creating a 800-mile buffer zone between Russia and Ukraine, which would act as similarly to the line of control between India, Pakistan we have, right? So this buffer zone would serve actually as a neutral area where no military activities would be allowed. That will actually help to prevent future conflict along the border. So Russian and Ukraine soldiers would be required to pull back from this demilitarized zone, and European nations would be asked to place troops at a distance behind, as an additional precautionary measure. So this buffer zone actually aimed to reduce the likelihood of a renewed violence and stabilize the border. Now let's look at the potential gains for Russia. if you see from Russian perspective, Trump's plan could be seen as a massive win. Not only would Russia retain control over Crimea and parts of Donbas region, but it also avoid the pressure of an expanding NATO presence near its borders. So under the Trump's proposal, Ukraine would not be allowed to join NATO for at least next 20 years. And this restriction effectively blocks NATO's eastern expansion. That's a primary security concern for Russia. So for Putin, securing these territories and limiting NATO's reach could signify a substantial strategic victory and the realization of many long-standing goals as well. Now, if you look at the concerns from NATO and Ukraine. See, NATO leaders and the Ukrainian leaders are not as enthusiastic about the Trump's approach. For them, this plan undermines years of effort and the sacrifices made by Ukrainians to defend their sovereignty. NATO's support for Ukraine, both militarily and diplomatically, has been unwavering, and this peace plan could render those efforts futile. That will leave Ukraine with substantial losses, and here Russia is gaining, right? So Ukrainians are likely to feel betrayed in the US shift to in its stance, and that appears to side with Russian interest. So nonetheless, Trump argued that his responsibility is to prioritize American interest, including reducing US debt and government expenditure. So now the question is whether this plan will succeed. See, as Biden administration scrambles to find a resolution before Trump takes office, the question remains, will Trump plan be enforceable, and will it lead to a lasting peace for, that he actually promised or he actually think about? If Trump can negotiate his vision, it could mark a historic turning point in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but there is also a chance that both Ukraine and Russia might not fully accept it. That's again, that is a maximum possible aspect actually. Now, Ukrainians could resist giving up their territory, obviously, and if you look at Russia, feeling emboldened may push further into Ukraine before any line of control is actually going to be established. So only time, when you get this kind of opportunity, Russia will try to get more into that and will try to establish more, territory, or try to capture more before that. Line of control is getting that buffer zone that we discussed about will get established. So what we can say now is that time will tell if this controversial plan will bring peace to the region or it will trigger further complexities in global politics. So guys, that's about this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next session.